tutorial. Here we have our jowl test. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be diving into the meat and potatoes of this system, and we're going to be diagnosing this vehicle right here, this nice beautiful Peterbilt 379. So what we're going to do right now, the vehicle came in having an issue, a coolant temperature light came on. So first things first, we want to make sure that we're getting the proper voltage supply. So we're going to come over here and we're going to check our batteries out, make sure we got a good amount of power. So we're going to turn this little bad boy on right here. This is my handy dandy multimeter. The voltage. Then we're going to come over here, we're going to test this battery. With this battery, we got about 12 volts, 12.31. 12.31, 12.31, and lastly, 12.31. Got 12.31 across the board. It's in need of a charge, but it's all right. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna do the key on. We'll keep the engine off so that we can hook up the jowl test and see what code pops up. Now we have the jowl test plugged in to our data bus. And now what we're going to do is while that's loading up, we're going to take a walk around the vehicle and make sure all of our other sensors are plugged in and make sure nothing is unplugged or hanging out or not looking the way it should. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up real quick. And while that's loading, let's take a look at our vehicle. So we're going to look over here, make sure all of our other sensors and all of our other connections are properly plugged in. Make sure nothing's hanging out. Everything's where it should be. We're going to step around to the other side and also look at the other side. Alright, we're going to make sure that we have everything connected and it's snug. Make sure all the sensors are pushed in. Make sure we have no bare wires, nothing hanging out. Everything looks like it should be in order, so let's go back over to the jowl test and we'll go ahead and run the program and see what type of codes we get. Alright, so jowl test is about to open up. We have the HD Deutsch 6 9-pin connector. That's going to go ahead and load up all the parameters that it needs. The computer is also running the super fast Windows 98 program. So now it's asking us to put in the VIN number. So the VIN number is located right here. This is the VIN. Slightly not in focus, but there we go. Gotta love technology. 1XP 5dB8X 9VN 42971. And right here, we have our Caterpillar 3406 engine. And right now it's showing, it's reading the codes right now. It's showing that we have two codes. Right now it's reading the ECU. And it's showing that we have an active engine coolant temperature, voltage above normal or shorted high, and an inactive code for the intake manifold temperature. With this being an inactive code, this just could have not have been erased from the last time, but this active code right here is what we're concerned with right now, which is the temperature sensor for the engine coolant. It's above normal. So I went ahead and I looked on Truck Pro Demand, and it says that to diagnose this code, you need to create a short in the sensor and see what type of voltage you're getting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here, we're going to locate the sensor, we're going to short it out, do the proper procedure that Truck Pro Demand had, and see what we get. So let's take our multimeter, and these are for the sensor itself, and let's see what we get. Alright, right here we have located the coolant temperature sensor, the engine coolant temperature sensor. Now right here, this would be which would be the supply power to that sensor so that it gets a proper reading. We're going to take our probes and we're going to put them in here like so. And then we're going to take our multimeter, which is set to voltage, and we want to make sure that we're getting the proper 5-volt supply. And as you see on our multimeter, we're getting our 5-volt supply, which is telling me that it's probably a bad sensor. 9 out of 10 times it's going to be a bad sensor. So what I would do is I'd go ahead and I'd plug this back in, knowing that it's the sensor. I'd make the proper phone calls that I need to locate a sensor. I'd go ahead, I'd replace the sensor, I'd clear the code off a jowl test, I'll let the vehicle run, I'd retest to see if that still came up. If that code still came up, then we'd make further diagnosis and further actions to rectify that problem. And if no other code came up, then we would call it a day and a win, and we just move on with our next vehicle. If you want, we'll go back over to jowl test, and I'll show you some other things that jowl test can do for us. Alright, also on jowl test, if you exit from where we were reading the codes, it comes up with this menu. We can look here at our ECU data. This is going to show us everything that has to do with the computer in the vehicle, all the specifications and everything. We can look at parameters. We can maybe change the vehicle max speed. We can see what our limits are, what our idle speed is, different idle shutdowns. Jowl Test is a very good program. We can look at live data as the truck's running. We can check all the components, and then one of the good features of Jowl Test is the system check. If we're getting a bad injector or whatnot, we can do the cylinder cutout test. We can test each cylinder, make sure they're doing what they should be doing, and also with the injector buzz test. This one is going to send an electrical signal to the injectors, simulating a firing scenario for the injectors, and that'll be able to tell you if your injectors are good. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you another one of these features. It's going to be the injector buzz test. So I got it set up on here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start it. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to engage it right now. And as you can see, we have all our injectors are firing, and there's nothing wrong with them. So that concludes showing just tip of the iceberg of what Jowl Test is capable of. I appreciate taking your time and watching this video. Thank you and have a great day.